Hi, Jennifer LeClaire back again with another episode of Breakthrough.
你好，我是 Jennifer， 欢迎你再次的收看这一集的突破。
Today I'm going to be teaching from my book, Jezebel's Puppets.
今天呢，我要从我所写的书，那就是耶洗别的傀儡当中呢，的资料来教导你。
You may never see the spirit of Jezebel, but what the Lord showed me many years ago,
可能你未曾看见过耶洗别的灵，可是呢，好几年前主让我看见。
is that Jezebel is like a puppet master, pulling the strings of a lot of other players.
神让我看到呢，耶洗别就好像是一个控制傀儡的人，一直呢在控制着其他的人。
There's this demonic puppet show, and Jezebel is in control.
这是一个属于邪恶的邪灵的傀儡戏，而那一位的主使者就是耶洗别。
Now remember, Jezebel, as I taught you in an earlier episode, is a spirit of seduction.
正如我在前一系列的节目当中教导你的，耶洗别是谁呢？实际上，耶洗别是一个诱惑的灵。
Jezebel tries to recruit people to be part of her puppet show.
耶洗别要做的就是尽量的去征召世上的人来加入他这个傀儡戏。
Jezebel will play you like a puppet on a string if you'll let her.
所以，如果你容让耶洗别来掌控你的生命的时候呢，你就成为了耶洗别的傀儡了。
Now we know that Jezebel is very, very dangerous.
我们都知道耶洗别是极度危险的，
But let me tell you, Jezebel's puppets are also very dangerous.
但是让我也告诉你，作为耶洗别的傀儡，同样也非常危险。
Let's start with talking about Ahab.
让我们先来看一看亚哈。
You may have heard of the Ahab spirit.
可能你也听过亚哈的灵。
I don't know that that's what the Lord calls it, but it's a common term for spiritual warriors.
我不知道神是不是这样说的，不过呢，亚哈的灵通常就是用来指那一些属灵的勇士。
We call this the Ahab spirit because this wicked king personified many of the anti-God characteristics of this demon.
我们称它为亚哈的灵，那是因为呢，亚哈王他本身所具有的一些特性呢，真的是表达了敌基督的一些特性。
There are only a few spirits that are actually named in the Bible.
实际上呢，在圣经里面对于灵的称呼呢，实际上只有几个。
But here's how I look at it.
但是我是从这个角度来看的。
Before there was cancer, doctors knew there was a disease that was killing people.
在有癌症之前呢，医生们呢实际上已经知道有一种的疾病会使到人丧失生命。
They knew how this disease behaved, but it didn't yet have a name.
那么医生呢也知道这一种的疾病呢是怎么样的在人的身上产生作用，不过那个时候他们还没有为这个疾病命名。
They knew how to identify this disease in a human body, but it still didn't have a name.
医生知道如何在人的身体里面去辨识到这种的疾病，不过仍然没有名字。
The medical community at some point decided to call this disease cancer.
直到医学界他们经过了一番的讨论之后呢，决定称它为癌症。
They gave it a name that everyone would call it so that everyone would know what we're talking about when we discuss this disease.
他们要为这个疾病命名，是因为当每一个人都发觉到这种疾病的时候呢，他们知道怎么样的称呼它的名字，怎么样的来探讨它。
Now we know that rebellion is what opened the door to demonic influence in Ahab's life.
我们知道呢，在亚哈的生命当中开了一道门，这一道门呢，就是他有悖逆的心，以至于这道门打开的时候，邪灵进入了他的生命。
Rebellion is not the only thing that can open you up to a demonic influence, but rebellion will always put you in danger.
悖逆不只是打开了一道门，让你能够进入到这邪恶的境界，实际上呢，悖逆也是非常危险的。
We know that Ahab was a very powerful man.
我们知道亚哈是一个非常有能力的人。
He was not only the king of Israel, but he was also the son of a king named Omri.
那他不只是以色列的一位王，其实呢，他也是另外一位王 Omri 的儿子。
He reigned over the 10 northern tribes of Israel, and he reigned for 21 years.
他在北国的10个国家里面做王，而且做了20年的王。
According to the Encyclopedia Britannica,
根据一些的百科全书的记载，
Ahab's empire spanned the territory east of the Jordan River.
亚哈王他所管辖的属地呢，就在约旦河的主要在东部的地方。
His territory also went into the land of Moab.
他所掌管的地域呢，也伸展到摩押地。
This made Ahab one of the most powerful men on the earth in his day.
所以呢，在亚哈的日子里头，他是当时候最有能力的一位王。
There's a saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely.
我们有一句话说呢，极度的权势将会使到你极度的毁灭。
But it wasn't the power that corrupted Ahab. It was the fear of losing his power that actually caused his trouble.
实际上呢，并不是亚哈所拥有的能力毁坏他的生命，而是他惧怕自己会失去这一个的权势，使到他面对了极大的危机。
You have to understand that Ahab had a very political thought process.
那我们要清楚啊，亚哈呢是一个有着非常优越的这种政治思维的人。
He was like a wise politician. He was motivated by expanding his power.
他是一个非常有智慧的政治家，他不断的有很好的计谋来使到他去扩充他的疆界。
But he was also afraid of losing his power.
然而，他也非常惧怕会失去这样的权能。
And this fear of losing power is what caused him to marry Jezebel.
由于他害怕失去自己的权势，因此呢，致使他要和耶洗别结婚。
Ahab didn't fall in love with Jezebel and sweep her off her feet and make some grand romance.
其实呢，亚哈并不是很喜爱耶洗别，拜倒在他的石榴裙下，或者和他有一段非常浪漫的爱情故事。
This didn't start off as a love story like Samson and Delilah that just had a tragic end.
这并不像这参孙和大利拉之间呢有一段非常浪漫的爱情史。虽然参孙最后呢是以悲剧为结局。
Ahab married Jezebel in order to forge a political alliance.
亚哈要和耶洗别结婚呢，那是因为他要取得政治上的联合。
Ahab sought to form a partnership or an alliance with the Phoenicians.
因为呢，亚哈打算要和 Phoenician 一起的联盟。
Jezebel was the daughter of Ethbaal in Sidon, and this was why Ahab made a covenant with Jezebel.
由于耶洗别是西顿一位王的女儿，这就是为什么呢？这个亚哈王要和耶洗别来联婚了。
So this political marriage was convenient for everybody.
从这里我们看到这一场政治上的婚姻呢，对各方面都会带来好处。
It was also good for Jezebel.
同样的，对耶洗别也有好处。
She became queen.
她会成为王后，
She became powerful.
她也会变得有权力。
Ahab just wanted to advance his kingdom.
亚哈只是为了扩充他的疆界。
I don't think he was considering the reality that Jezebel would bring false gods into Israel.
我相信当时候亚哈王并没有想到耶洗别呢会把外邦的假神带进他的国家。
I don't believe Ahab ever considered that Jezebel would begin to use him like a puppet.
我相信亚哈王从来都不会想到耶洗别呢会把亚哈王当作傀儡。
But it wasn't long after Ahab brought Jezebel into the kingdom
可是，一旦亚哈王把耶洗别娶进他的国家，
until Jezebel brought her false gods, Baal and Ashtoreth, into Israel.
而耶洗别呢，也因着出嫁的缘故，而将他所敬拜的假神巴利和亚舍拉带进亚哈的国家里。
And the Bible says that Ahab did more to provoke the Lord to anger than any other god before him.
而圣经的记载是说到呢，亚哈王做了许多的事情来激怒神，甚至比他先前的列王更甚。
And the reason was because he married Jezebel and brought all this idolatry into the land.
原因就是因为他娶了耶洗别，而耶洗别呢，把外邦的众假神都带进了以色列。
In doing this and allowing his wife to bring idolatry into Israel, he was in full rebellion to God.
由于亚哈王容许他的妻子把外邦的众神明带进以色列，因此呢，亚哈王便违背了神。
So Ahab is a very rebellious spirit.
因此，亚哈就是一个非常悖逆的灵。
But we also see that Ahab used Jezebel.
但是从另外一方面呢，我们也看到亚哈王呢在利用耶洗别。
Ahab had a codependent relationship with Jezebel.
其实呢，亚哈王是非常依赖耶洗别的。
Ahab formed a covenant with Jezebel that ultimately destroyed him and his kingdom.
由于亚哈王和耶洗别联盟，所以最后呢，导致他自己和他整个国家都毁灭了。
Think of Naboth and his vineyard.
让我们来想一想拿伯和他的葡萄园。
In the book of 1 Kings, we see that Ahab was coveting Naboth's vineyard.
那在列王记上呢，我们看到亚哈王对于拿伯的葡萄园呢虎视眈眈。
He wanted something that did not belong to him.
亚哈王想要夺取一些不属于他的东西。
He went to Naboth and he said, "Let me have your field."
他去到拿伯那边，对他说：“让我来我要你的葡萄园。”
Naboth said, "I can't give you this field. This was my inheritance from my father."
拿伯告诉他说：“我不能够把这葡萄园给你，因为这是先人留下来给我的产业。”
Naboth said, "I'll pay you for the field or I'll give you another field."
亚哈说：“我付你钱吧。”可是亚伯无论如何都不把这个葡萄园给他。
So the Bible says that Ahab left upset.
圣经记载呢，亚哈王离开的时候，他非常的沮丧。
He was depressed.
当时候呢，他非常的灰心。
The Bible said he laid in his bed and he would not eat.
圣经记载亚哈王呢，整天躺在他的床上，不吃不喝。
So here we see a very interesting aspect of the Ahab spirit.
所以在这里头呢，我们看到亚哈的灵呢，有一个很特别的地方，
Not only is the spirit power hungry,
不只是这个的灵呢，非常渴望得着权力。
not only is Ahab politically motivated,
我们看到亚哈的灵不只是有着这种政治的能力，
not only is Ahab willing to enter into covenants just for the sake of power,
我们看到亚哈的灵不只是为了得着能力而随便的和人有联盟，
but Ahab is also a very moody sullen character when he doesn't get what he wants.
我们也看到亚哈的灵是什么呢？就是当他没有办法得着他想要的东西的时候呢，他会成为一个非常情绪低落的人。
Have you ever seen people that they're fine until they don't get what they want and then they're depressed?
你有没有看过这些人呢？有一些人看起来挺好的，可是后来他得不着他想要的东西的时候呢，他突然间变得非常沮丧。
This is how Ahab was behaving.
这就是亚哈王的表现。
Ahab wanted something that didn't belong to him. He couldn't get it, so he pouted.
那由于亚哈王无法得着那些不属于他的东西，于是呢，他就在那边撒娇，毫无力气了。
Ahab felt like he was entitled to something that didn't belong to him.
亚哈他觉得呢，那些不属于他的东西啊，实际上他是有权利去得着的。
And he manipulated the situation by pouting.
他呢，就是以这种撒野的方式呢，来操纵他的能力。
Now, what happens next is very, very interesting.
接着下来，故事的发展呢是非常有趣的。
Jezebel comes home and finds Ahab in his bed, sulking, depressed, and refusing to eat.
当耶洗别从外头回到家里的时候呢，看到亚哈王在那边呢，就是软弱无力的，不吃不喝的，整个人呢完全沮丧，没有了志气。
And Jezebel says, "What's wrong?"
耶洗别问他到底发生了什么事。
Ahab said, "I want Naboth's vineyard, and he won't give it to me."
他告诉耶洗别，我要拿伯的葡萄园，可是他不给我。
Jezebel says, "Don't you worry about a thing. I'll get it for you."
耶洗别对他说，不要担心，我一定为你得到那葡萄园。
Someone operating in an Ahab spirit will always use other people to get what they want.
凡是行驶在亚哈的灵的里头的人呢，总是利用其他的人来得着他们想要的东西。
If they can't get it themselves, they'll manipulate other people to get it for them.
如果他们自己没有办法得着心中所要的东西，他呢就会操控别人来为他得着他所要的。
This is where you see the codependent relationship between Ahab and Jezebel.
这就让我们看到呢，亚哈王和耶洗别之间是如何的互相依赖。
Ahab didn't trust the Lord to give him a piece of land.
亚哈并没有信靠神，认为神会把一块的土地赐给他。
But Ahab trusted Jezebel to get him land that never belonged to him.
而亚哈王呢，却相信耶洗别会为他得着那一片不属于他的土地。
Many people teach that Jezebel likes to take the authority that belongs to other people.
有人这样教导，耶洗别呢喜欢去夺取那些属于别人的东西，
And this is true,
这是真实的。
but Ahab gave Jezebel his authority.
然而呢，亚哈王却是把这样的能力给了耶洗别。
She took his signet ring.
他拿了亚哈王的戒指，
She wrote a letter to tell lies about Naboth and have him killed, and she signed the letter with Ahab's signet ring.
耶洗别还写了一封信来诬告拿伯，最后呢，使到拿伯丧失了生命。同时呢，耶洗别还用了亚哈王的戒指来盖印。
I don't know if Ahab knew what Jezebel was doing or not,
我并不知道亚哈王是不是知道耶洗别所做的这一切，
but I don't think Ahab cared what Jezebel did to get it.
但是我想呢，亚哈王根本都不在意耶洗别所做的这一切。
People operating in an Ahab spirit will covet what other people have and do anything to get it.
凡是有亚哈的灵的人呢，他们都会遮盖其他人的一些恶行，只要那个人为他得着他所要的东西。
We talk about how Jezebel is a murdering spirit.
我们也曾经谈过，耶洗别的灵呢，就是一个谋杀的灵。
But many times Ahab is the hidden accomplice.
其实很多时候亚哈王呢，就是那个隐藏在背后的主使者。
Jezebel had Naboth murdered in Ahab's name.
耶洗别乃是奉亚哈王的名杀害了拿伯。
Many times, where you'll find the spirit of Jezebel, you'll also find the spirit of Ahab.
每一次当你发现耶洗别的灵的时候，同时你也会发现到亚哈的灵。
Jezebel is known as a covenant-breaking spirit.
我们知道耶洗别呢是一个破坏盟约的灵，
But Ahab forms covenants based on convenience.
但是亚哈的灵呢，却是按照他自己的方便来与人结盟。
Beware of people who want to form covenants with you to advance their own kingdom.
所以我们要非常的留意和警醒，要小心那些与你联盟的人，他们最终的目的只不过要扩充他们的境界。
If it's not advancing God's kingdom, you don't want to be part of it.
如果他们并不是为了要扩展神的国度的话，你千万不要与他们有份。
Ahab is also a very manipulative spirit.
我们看到亚哈也是一个操控的灵，
And here's the big issue with Ahab.
而亚哈最大的问题是，
Ahab empowered Jezebel.
亚哈乃是赋予耶洗别能力，
Ahab tolerated Jezebel.
亚哈妥协于耶洗别的所作所为，
Ahab allowed Jezebel to bring perversion into the kingdom.
亚哈容许耶洗别把弯曲邪恶的事物带进他的国家。
Now consider what Jesus said in Revelation chapter 2 verse 20.
让我们再一次的来思想主耶稣在启示录第2章20节所说的。
Jesus was speaking to the church at Thyatira.
当时候呢，主耶稣写了一封书信，是给推雅推喇的教会。
And Jesus said, I have a few things against you.
而耶稣在这节经文说，对教会说：“我有几件事要责备你，
That you tolerate that woman Jezebel,
就是你妥协于那个妇人耶洗别，
who calls herself a prophetess,
她自称自己是女先知，
to commit sexual immorality and eat things sacrificed to idols.
她教导神的仆人去引诱他们行奸淫，吃祭偶像之物。”
The spirit of Ahab will allow Jezebel to do anything it wants.
亚哈王的灵呢，容许耶洗别去进行他一切的所作所为。
I teach so much more about this in my book, Jezebel's Puppets.
在我所写的书《耶洗别的傀儡》当中呢，我在这方面有许多的教导。
I would say this to you.
这时候我要对你说，
Where you see Jezebel,
每当你看见耶洗别，
look for Ahab.
你必定会看见亚哈，
Look for Ahab.
你要看到亚哈。
Ahab is not your friend.
亚哈不是你的朋友。
I want to pray.
现在为你祷告，
Father, in the name of Jesus,
天父奉主耶稣的名，
open our eyes to the operation of the Ahab spirit.
让我们的属灵眼睛得以打开，能够看见亚哈的灵施行的地方。
Help us to resist the influence of this spirit.
主啊，求你帮助我们能够抵挡亚哈的灵的影响。
Help us to submit to you and you alone.
主啊，帮助我们单单的来顺服于你。
In the name of Jesus.
奉主耶稣的名。
In the next episode, we're going to talk about Jezebel's false prophets.
在下一集的节目当中呢，我们将会探讨的课题是耶洗别的假先知。
I'm Jennifer LeClaire. God bless you.
我是 Jennifer，愿神赐福给你。